Hari Om. Prashnopanishad. We shall study this Upanishad. This is from Atharva Ved. In the Vedas, there are many portion, bhags, the mantra, the brahmana, the aranyaka. This Upanishad is found in the brahmana portion of the Vedas. So Vedas are the most ancient Anadi, Ananta and Apaurusheya. They are not, we have seen last time also, they are not creation of human mind. They are not, there are no contradictions in Vedas, and they are vast, Ananta. What is available now is only a little portion of the actual Vedas, though we have a lot of it available, but its Vedas are much more than that. And in the Vedas, we have this mantra, brahmana, aranyaka, and then we have the Upanishads. In the Vedas are praman for dharma and for Brahma. For anything else, we use our senses to know about the world. We have our sense organ, eyes, ears, nose, with which we can know the world. They are called pratyaksha praman. Then, from what we see, we can also infer what we don't see. We infer if we know the relationship of what we see to what we don't see. Like the smoke we see and we infer fire. That's called anuman. Then sometimes we compare and learn. Like they go to the Mars and check or the material there, and they compare what they have seen on Earth, and from that comparison we know what is the nature of that particular planet. So through comparison, then by studying the effect, we understand the cause, that is called arthapatti. And one more praman is there called anupalabdhi. When we don't see a particular thing, we know that it is not there. It's a strange praman, anupalabdhi. But apart from this, there is one more praman called agama praman, shabda praman. So all other pramans, they are based on our senses. We can know a lot through our senses. All that the science talks about, the knowledge, the vast knowledge which science has gained, by which we understand the secret of this world, and we have also invented so many equipments, including our mobile and all. All this is by the scientific knowledge which is acquired through our senses. Either you see those objects which you have known directly through the eyes, or you use some special equipment by which the power of the eyes gets enhanced, like microscope, electron microscope, telescope and all those things. So all the knowledge of the world is acquired through the senses. Also we can use our mind, our intellect to infer, to think, to meditate, to contemplate, we do experiment. And there is a vast storehouse of knowledge. That knowledge helps us in our day-to-day life. We have, because of this, we have so much of facilities, so much of comfort in the world outside. We can build good houses, we have electricity. Even when it is hot outside, we can, like here in this room, so nice and cool and comfortable. Because of the knowledge which we have acquired through the senses, so we know how to manipulate this world and make it more and more comfortable for us. But there is a limit to the knowledge which we can gain through the senses. We cannot understand through the senses about what happens, let us say, after death. We don't know where we were before we were born. Senses cannot help us. Senses also cannot tell us that if we perform a particular type of action, what can be the subtle result of it. Gross result we know. But what are the subtle results which we gain through certain actions? The senses cannot tell us. Senses cannot tell us what is good and bad, what is right and wrong. Through the scientific knowledge, we can create nuclear bombs. But where to use it, how to use it, science itself doesn't tell us. What is good, what is not good, science cannot tell. Because science doesn't have the knowledge of everything. Science is not sarvajna. If we want to know what is right and what is not right, we have to be sarvajna. Sarvajna means we should not only know the entire world, physical world, but we should know the entire world of beings also. Not only the one who are present now, but we should also know the past and the future of all the beings. Then we can say, this action is good for you. You do it. You will reach a particular goal. Therefore, knowledge about dharma is not gained through our senses. Science and all worldly knowledge cannot tell us what is dharma. That is revealed to us in the Vedas. Like, for example, we do Shraddha. Science cannot tell us anything. How that particular Shraddha, if we do, how it benefits, science cannot tell. And generally when science cannot tell, it says it is all superstition. That is the common thing. That when we don't understand something, we say, no, aisa hi hai. So dharma, what has to be done, should not be done, we learn from the Vedas. And Brahma, the source, the cause of this world, that which is beyond the senses, beyond the mind, beyond the intellect, that Brahma cannot be known through our senses, through our scientific instruments. That knowledge is also given to us in the Vedas. See, whatever we know in this world is knowable only. But that which is beyond the world, that which is not knowable through the senses, the knowledge of those things, that tattva is given to us in the Vedas, especially in the Upanishads. So Brahma Vidya is given in the Upanishad, and Dharma Vidya is given in the previous portion of the Vedas. See, we have 4 Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. You must have heard. I have said before also. Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. ये जो बीच के दो है, अर्थ एंड काम, without even studying Vedas, people can just have it. Nee? That is what animals, birds, plants, all of them are involved in earth and calm only. You don't see bandars studying Upanishads. You don't see all those animals doing some special dhyana or something, except in Hindi cinema. But otherwise, they don't. So, earth and calm, dekha dekhi senses, we like something we eat. In order to buy that, we acquire wealth. But to follow the path of dharma, to evolve, and to finally to attain moksha, we have to take support of the Vedas, the scriptures. Otherwise, we can't proceed further. So we have these Vedas. They are the most authoritative. But these Vedas themselves, the knowledge of the Vedas themselves, are simplified and told by great Rishi Munis. That is called Smriti. For example, Bhagavad Gita is called Smriti. Smriti means remembered, but based on the Vedas, based on the Upanishads. And the difficult concept of the Vedic knowledge, to make it simple, we have what we call Puranas, beautiful stories in the form of various allegories and various examples. The Vedic knowledge is given in the in the Puranas. Then we have history, itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, of those people in the past who have followed this path. Some of them succeeded, some of them failed, some of them went opposite to it. So history is there. So Shruti, Smriti, Puran and Itihas, the four types of this spiritual literature we have. And the most authoritative are the Vedas, which talk about Dharma and Brahma. In these Vedas there are many Upanishads. Out of them, 10 Upanishads are commented by Adi Shankaracharya ji, who was a great Bhagwan's avatar only. We consider him as Lord Shiva's avatar. He has commented on the 10 Upanishads. He also commented on Brahma Sutra and on Bhagavad Gita. These are called Prasthantrayi, 3 important texts to understand Brahma and to become free of our bondage. So Prashnopanishad, which comes in Atharva Ved, is also one of the 10 Upanishads which is commented by Shankaracharya ji. See, all the Upanishads have only one that theme, Brahma only. It is indicated in various ways in these different Upanishads. If we study one and understand, it is enough. But if not, then we can study more. So when we come to realize, or in this Upanishad, it is said that Brahma, which is the source of this world, is also our own self. That is the main teaching of the Upanishads, ki ayam Atma, this Atma, the inner self, is Brahma. Aham Brahma Asmi. which is beyond the senses, mind, intellect. But with faith and with proper contemplation, when we intellectually grasp this, understand this theoretically, then we can follow the path of Shravan Manan Nididhyasan to gain that abidance in that Brahma. So systematically the Upanishads guide us to experience this Brahma. Now one may ask that why we have to experience Brahma? Why we have to know ourself? What will we gain by that? In Taittiriya Upanishad it is said, Brahmavid apnoti param. The knower of Brahma attains the supreme. All of us, knowingly, unknowingly, want to attain this supreme. All of us are seeking Brahma only without knowing. All of us seeking our own self, not knowing. You say, no, I am not seeking the self, I am seeking happiness. I am seeking peace. I don't want to die. I want to be always there. Okay, you want to always there? Yes. Do you want to be like a stone, always there, not knowing anything? No, I want to know. I want to be aware. And you want to be miserable always? No, I want to be happy. So all of us, we desire this threefold desire we have in a way. We want to exist eternally. We want to be conscious of our existence. And we want to be happy. The scripture says these are the lakshanas of Brahma. What you call eternal existence is called satya. That consciousness consciousness is called jnanam. And that happiness is called anandam. So sat, chit, ananda is the nature of that Brahma. And that is what we are seeking. Knowingly, unknowingly, all of us are seeking our own self. What happened, why we have been like this and all, it's a different topic of Vedanta. We will go into it some other time. But at present, we should know that we are ignorant of our own self. I am, I know I am, but I don't know exactly who am I. I have confused myself to be somebody else, something else. So Upanishads help us, guide us to recognize ourselves as we are and become free of all this bondage and to gain that eternal bliss, eternal happiness. Whether we like it or not, or, as I said, all of us are moving towards it. So Ishvara has made arrangement that when people have this desire, their Upanishads and all are available for them so that they can go forward. See, even if you go to the Himalayas and all, there are those signs are there on the road. Sharp turn ahead, careful. There is a narrow road, a bridge is there. Now those who are living in Delhi, they will say, what is the bridge is there and all those things. मेरे को क्या करना है? But those who go there, it becomes important for them. Similarly, those who follow and want to attain that supreme state, for them this Upanishad is very important. The guidance given here is very important. So we have this many Upanishads. We have already studied few of them, the Kathopanishad, Kenopanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Aitreya Upanishad, and now we will study this Prashna Upanishad. Every Upanishad, they are named differently because of the, sometimes for various reasons. Like Kenopanishad begins with the word Kena, Ishavasya Upanishad begins with the word Ishavasya. Therefore that name is there. Kathopanishad have a beautiful katha. Similarly, this Upanishad is called Prashnopanishad because here few rishis who were in the initial sadhaks, rishi sadhaks, they approach another enlightened rishi with some questions. So there are these chapters with 6 questions asked by 6 different seekers. Since it is this Prashna is asked, this Upanishad called Prashnopanishad. Every Upanishad begins with a beautiful Shanti mantra, depends on the Upanishad, the Veda to which this Upanishad belongs. So Atharva Ved has got this, all Upanishad of Atharva Ved has this beautiful Shanti mantra. So please repeat after me. Om Bhadran Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangaihi Stuštuvagam Sastanubihi Veshema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravaah Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaah Swasti nastaksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati'r dadhatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So before the text begins, there is this invocation for peace. This mantra we had seen while studying Mundaka Upanishad also. So Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let there be peace. Lot of things are in our hand, we feel. But many things are not in our hand. One of those things which are not in our hand is peace. Of course, we should put forth effort for it, but the real peace will come by Bhagwan's grace and blessings. So we pray for peace, that let there be peace from within, Adi, Adhyatmik Shanti. May my body, mind, intellect be peaceful. May it not revolt. See, we have so many different in our upadhis, there are so many different aspects are there. The senses are there, the mind, the intellect. We have so many desires, emotions, memories. Many of them are there. So there is always a possibility of all of them coming and having a big fight. Memories, they come and they have a fight. Desires come and आपस में टकराते हैं. So it is sometimes it's not one unit, it's not well integrated, our body, mind, intellect. It creates a lot of disturbance. One of the sadhana is to integrate these equipments. So when they are well integrated, there is peace. When our understanding, when our feelings, when our actions are well coordinated and integrated. Not that we think one thing, we feel something else and we do something else. Then there is conflict. And when there is conflict, there is ashanti. So your prayer is that, oh Lord, please give me that peace You only make my body, mind, intellect peaceful so that I can hear this Upanishad and study it and understand. Then let there be peace in the surrounding, in the environment around. May all the birds, animals, humans, family members, relatives, friends, boss, all of them be peaceful. Because when they get disturbed, they disturb others also. So let there be peace in the surrounding, immediate surrounding. But our immediate surrounding is also affected by what happens far away. If there is some war happening or some famine or earthquake or volcanic eruption or some tsunami and all, then the whole peace is disturbed. So let there be peace at the totality level. Adi Daivik Shanti, Adi Bhautik Shanti, and Adhyatmik Shanti. Let there be this Shanti. So Om Bhadrang Karne Vishrunuyama Devaha. This is a prayer also, that Om is name of Ishvara. He has many names. Ishvara, Brahma, has many names. One of his very short and sweet name is Om. Om, when we say, Ishvara looks at us. Om. So Om Bhadrang Karne Vishrunuyama Devaha. These devatas, all these senses and their presiding deities, there is this prayer that may we hear what is auspicious. Karne bihi, with our ears. Bhadram Shrunuyam, may we hear what is auspicious. O devatas who are there taking care of my senses, just see that I hear what is auspicious. O Ishvara, see that I hear what is auspicious. What I speak might be under my control to some extent, but what others speak, I don't have any control. Like you are sitting here to listen to me, what I will speak, you don't have any control. अब क्या बोलेंगे स्वामी जी, अब क्या होगा मुझे पता नहीं. But don't worry, I will speak only Bhadram. So Bhadram Karne Vishrunuyama, may I hear what is auspicious. Because the impurities enter through our senses, they go into our mind. Then we think about it, then they become more strong. Then we store it in our memory for future use. And whenever we have to take decisions and all, we refer to our memory. If the memory is bad, our decisions go wrong. Our experiences suffer. We suffer. So if we keep and store good things in our memory, then it is good for us. And we can store good things if we experience good. So it's a request to Ishvara that may I hear what is auspicious. And the greatest auspicious is to listen to scriptures is the greatest of all gifts which Bhagwan can give. So Bhadram Karne Vishrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyema Akshavihi Yajatraha. O most worshipful devatas, may I see what is auspicious with my eyes. Ears and eyes are very strong senses through which we acquire a lot of information about this world. So may I see what is auspicious. May my eyes be tuned to that which is auspicious. May my ears be tuned to that which is auspicious. See, there are some musicians whose ears are tuned to music. Lot of noise and this and that is there, and some song is happening or going on somewhere, they can hear it because they are tuned to that. Right? Or sometimes we get tuned to our own mobile and their even थोड़ा सा आवाज भी आता है तो people alert. इतनी अलर्ट वो क्लास में भी नहीं होते. टिंग, दे नो मैसेज आ गया है. बाकी बॉम्ब भी फट जाए तो कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है कि कुछ हुआ है करके. So, may I tune my senses to that which is auspicious in life. And may I have a strong and healthy body. Not that I want to enter into some wrestling competition or something, but the body is like a madhyam to follow the path of dharma. Sharir is like a madhyam. Shariram adyam, it's a first sadhan. Shariram adyam khalu dharma sadhanam. Taking the help of the body, I perform actions and all. So sthiraihi angaihi, may all my angas become sthira, very steady and tushtuvagamsas, may they become very well nourished and strong and healthy. And with this healthy, strong body, may I use whatever lifespan is given to me, devahitam, in the service of God, in the worship of that Supreme. May I spend this life in the service of the Supreme, who is present in the form of this world. Ashtamurti Brut Deva Pujanam, Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam. The whole world is Jagata Ishadhi Yukta. One should have the understanding the whole world is pervaded by that Ishvara. With that idea in mind, when we serve the world, that is called puja. The seva of Bhagwan is called puja. So when we serve Bhagwan with that attitude, it's puja. So deva hitam yadayuhu swastina indro vruddhashravaha. The most ancient and famous Indra Bhagwan, may he bless us. Indra is the king of all the devatas. So our senses, they have their own individual devatas. But the Indra is the main devata. So may Indra Bhagwan bless us. Swastina Pusha Vishwavedaha. So Pushan, that is the sun god. May the sun god, who is Vishwavedaha, who is all knowing, may that sun god bless me. See, all these natural devatas are there, and their temple is this world itself. So sun god, you cannot build a sun temple there. You can have it in Orissa, but the actual sun, you can't build a temple. He is free, like he stays there. So all these devatas, may they bless us. So swastina pusha vishwavedaha. Swastina staksho arishtanemihi. May that Vayu devata, who is remover of all difficulties, remover of all harms, may that Vayu devata bless us. Swastino Brahaspatir dadhatu. May Brahaspati, the guru of all the devatas, who is the protector of our spiritual wealth, may that Brahaspati bless us. May he be kind towards us. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So this is a very beautiful Shanti mantra. And after this Shanti mantra, then the text begins. So as I said, that there are these 6 disciples who approach Pippalada Rishi. Pippalada Rishi was a great enlightened Rishi, and there were these six disciples, six seekers, who were also great in their own way, but they had not comprehended that Param Brahma. So, in order to gain the knowledge of that Brahma, they approached this Pippalada Rishi. So, who were they and how did they approach? That is said now in the first mantra. Om Sukesha cha Bharadvajaha Shaibhyascha Satyakamaha Sauryayani cha Gargyaha Kausalyascha Ashvalayano Bhargavo Vaidarbhihi Kabandhi Katyayanaha Te Haite Brahmaparaha Brahmanishtaha Param Brahma Anveshamanaha Esha Havai Tat Sarvam Vakshyati Iti Teha Samit Panayo Bhagavantam Pippaladam Upasannaha. So Om, the Upanishad begins with Om, the beautiful name, beautiful indicator of that Supreme Brahma. The entire all the Vedas, the heart or the soul of all the Vedas can be put in one sound symbol, and that is Om. Om. So Om Sukesha cha Bharadvajaha. The six seekers, their names are given here, along with their name of their father or their family. So Sukesha cha Bharadvajaha. So there is this seeker called Sukesha, and he is the son of Bharadvaj Rishi. Then Shaibhyascha Satyakamaha. Then another seeker, Satyakamaha. He is the son of Shibi. Then Gargyaha means the one who was born in Gargya Gotra and the grandson of Sauryayani. So grandson of Surya. Sauryayani means the grandson of Surya. Then Kaushalyascha Ashvalayano. Then there is this Kaushalya, who is the son of Ashvalayana. Ashvala. Then there is Bhargava, from the Bhargava Bhrigu Vamsha, and he is from Vaidarbhi, place called Vaidarbha. Then there is Kabandhi, who is the son of Katya. So Katyayanaha, Katya, son of Katya, Kabandhi. These very ancient names. These six great seekers, they approach Pippalada Rishi. And little bit about them. Okay, what was so great about them? Ki te haite Brahmaparaha. They were very devoted to Brahma and Brahmanitthaha, and they were well established in Brahma. Now here, if one may ask that if they were already well established in Brahma, then why they came here? Here the term Brahma in this particular word is used for Apara Brahma. And that Apara Brahma, or lower Brahma, Apara Brahma is called Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha, which we have seen in other Upanishad also. So Hiranyagarbha is also called Brahma, lower, Apara Brahma. What we call the cosmic intelligence who pervades the entire world, the creator of this world, that Hiranyagarbha. Seekers were very devoted to Hiranyagarbha. There is Upasana of Hiranyagarbha is also mentioned in our scriptures. So they were very devoted to Hiranyagarbha. And they were well established in their understanding of Hiranyagarbha. They had done a lot of Upasana and they were well established in Hiranyagarbha. So Brahma Paraha and Brahmanishtaha. So they were of that caliber. See, the highest supreme reality is Brahma, which is also, along with his power, is also called Ishvara. So Ishvara or Brahma is the supreme. And when this creation happens, the first one to be born is Hiranyagarbha. So he's called the first born. We have seen in Aitri Upanishad also. Hiranyagarbha. In Sukshma is not seen, is the Sukshma. And that Hiranyagarbha only, with the knowledge of the Vedas, projected this world as it was in the Purva Kalpa, the gross world. And he himself became the gross world. It's called then Vaishvanara. So they were, we will see as we study, we will try to understand all these terms also properly. So these 6 seekers were devoted to that Hiranyagarbha. Param Brahma, but they did not know and did not recognize that Brahma, the supreme Brahma. So, in order to know that supreme Brahma, Param Brahma Anveshamanaha Eshaha Vai Tat Sarvam Vakshati Iti Teha Samitpanayo Bhagavantam Pippaladam Upasannaha. So they approached Bhagavan Pippalada. Pippalada Muni, Pippalada Rishi. They approached Pippalada Rishi with the faith and confidence that whatever questions we have, whatever doubts we have, whatever path we have to follow, the understanding required for that, all this we will gain from this Pippalada Rishi. That he will tell us everything. Tat Sarvam Vakshati. He will tell us everything. He will not hide anything from us. He will tell us everything. With this confidence, they approached Pippalada Rishi. And how did they approach him? Samitpanayaha, taking some dry woods in their hand. It's called samida, that which is used for yajna, those wood, they're called samit. So holding those wood in their hand, they approach. This is very interesting and symbolic. We have seen in Mundaka Upanishad that in order to gain this knowledge, we have to approach a teacher. And who is the teacher? Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham. Who is Shrotriya? Who has got the knowledge of the Upanishads, of the Vedas. And Brahmanishta, who is well established in that Brahma, that supreme Brahma. One has to approach such a teacher. Because the knowledge of the Vedas are the praman by which he can show us the path toward that Brahma. So, how we should approach that teacher? We should approach with the attitude of really knowing that Brahma. And for that we have to transcend our karmas. We should be ready to burn our karmas. And that is depicted by this Samit Pani. That, oh teacher, I have come with all these karmas in my hand. I have approached you. You burn them. You help me to burn them and attain, realize that Brahma. In Gita, Bhagavan says, Sarva karma khilam parthat jnane parisamapyate. That all karmas finally get burnt in knowledge. Karmas we perform when we have the sense of doership. We have sense of doership when we identify with our body, mind, intellect. We identify with the body, mind, intellect which we are not because of ignorance. And when we identify with this body, mind, intellect, and when we perform karma, we keep on creating more and more desires, more and more vasanas, and it goes on. So when we understand the limitations of these karmas, that they cannot give me the supreme, when I have done enough sadhana to make my mind pure, then I should approach a teacher with that bhavana that I am ready to burn all my karmas. I am ready to sacrifice all these karmas. I don't want anything which is the result of the karma. Because the results of karma is not Brahma. The result of karma is Svarga or even Brahmalok, but not Brahma. I hope you are understanding. I am using all these technical terms also, but I would like you to listen to these technical terms. Because this cannot be translated into English. They appear funny if you translate them. So, need not translate them. So, the disciple approaches the teacher. I am ready to sacrifice all this karma. You teach me. Therefore, this very interesting is Samit Pani, Shrotriyam, Brahmanishtam. So, all of them, they approach the Rishi with this faith that he will clear all their doubts and show them the right path. Then what happened? Next mantra. Tanha sa rishirvacha bhuya eva tapasa brahmacharyena shraddhaya samvatsaram samvatsyatha yatha kamam prashnan pritchata yadi vidnyasyamah sarvam havo vakshama iti. Tan ha sa rishihi uvacha. Tan, to those 6 disciples or 6 seekers who had approached. See, we are seekers, but when we approach and the teacher accepts us, then we become disciple. We can't just directly go and tell the teacher that I am your disciple. He has to decide. It's like the university. I can't go. I am the student of this university. Did you get admission? No. 2 subject में fail हो गया हूँ मैं. अरे बाबा, we have to decide whether you are our student or not. Not you decide. Similarly, the teacher decides whether you are the disciple or not the student. Student might say, he is my teacher. But we should go and ask the teacher, is he your disciple? Kaun? No. So, therefore I am saying that these are 6 seekers who approached Pippalada Rishi. But he accepted them, and when he accepted them, they became his disciple. So they approached him with lot of humility, proper attitude, and he accepted. So Tanha, to them, the Rishi said, Uvacha, ki you stay here in this ashram. I will not answer your question immediately. Because you have to get tuned to me. You have to, and he knew these disciples, these seekers, that they were of a very high caliber. So the questions will not be ordinary, simple, irritating, worldly. Not like that. But very deep and fundamental questions they will ask. So therefore he said that you have to be tuned properly. Then you will comprehend. Therefore he said, you might have done your tapas and all, but you stay in this ashram for 1 year. Samvatsaram samvasyatha. For 1 year you stay in the ashram. So that all the other outer influences and the confusions, the noise in your mind will stop. See, when we are, all of us are filled with so many things in our head. If you peacefully sit and look at your mind, you will find that it is pouring out impressions which you gather during the day. Impressions which you gather by listening to people, reading newspaper, watching television, internet, this, that, so many noises there in our mind. With all this noise, we can't gain the knowledge of that Brahma. The mind should be peaceful and available. Not that you sit on a horseback and try to understand that Brahma. So, though they were of such great caliber, the Rishi felt that 1 साल तो उनको रहना पड़ेगा आश्रम में. 1 year. And they did not say, नहीं हम दूसरे ऋषि के पास जाते हैं. Thank you very much. 1 साल. So संवत्सरम संवत्स्यथ, लेकिन कैसे भूय एव means already they were doing that tapas and all. But again, you do that tapas. Tapas here means control your senses, controlling your senses. Sarva indriyanam nigraha. Rest, controlling your senses means bring all the energy and power of your body, mind, intellect, senses and all together. Bring it together so that you are all well focused. Tapas also means ekagrata, focus. So control your senses, your mind, so that you are well focused, you are available. See, we are hardly available. We have very less attention span. Like you have come here 1.5 hours, it's a great thing actually. But if I keep talking, everyone will become restless. Or if you have to go and stay in ashram and all, you will become restless. What is required is availability. We should be available for this knowledge. There should be leisure. Not laziness, leisure should be there. Then we will be able to gain this knowledge. If we are already busy, appointment, this, that, other program, after this I have to do this, that and all, it's very difficult. Should be total leisure should be there. Means psychologically we should have the feeling that I have lot of time. In modern time, people don't have that feeling. It hardly comes. That मेरे पास बहुत time है. मैं बहुत busy हूँ. ये करना है, वो करना है, ये करना है, वो करना है. That feeling doesn't come. In the good old days when we were not distracted by so many things, I think these feelings were there. People used to have more leisure. They used to just sit in the garden, sit somewhere, watch the sunrise, look at the birds. But that type of leisure is not there. So, he says that 1 year you stay and follow the path of tapas. Restrain your senses and your mind. Control them. Don't let them run here and there. Then brahmacharyena, follow the path of brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is non-indulgence into sense pleasure. Not only actually, but even in the mind. So, remain in that state of brahmacharya, that not indulging in any pleasures, even thinking about pleasures in the mind. So become free, because they had come with Samit Pani, so he is training them that you have to drop all the karmas and the karma phalas. Even desire to gain some results of action should not be there in the mind. So brahmacharyena and shraddhaya, with faith. Shraddha is called astikya bhavana. Faith in the scriptures and the teacher. That what is said in that the Vedas are the praman. And a teacher who is revealing those Vedas, we should have faith in that teacher. So Vedas are the praman. That faith one should have. This faith is either we have, we don't have. It is like a blessing of Bhagwan only. There are some people who don't have faith. Then they ask question, why, how, who, where. Cannot be explained, because it is not a object of the senses, it is not a knowledge which is within the confine of our senses, as I said in the beginning. So, faith in the Vedas, faith in the teacher. So, Shraddhaya, with faith, you stay here for 1 year. And after 1 year, Yatha Kamam, as per your desire, whatever you have thought of individually, that prashnan, those questions, you can ask after 1 year. Well thought of question, if it is there in your heart, that you can ask. See, in order to gain answer, we should have questions. If questions are not there, answers don't come just like that. Therefore, there is this Brahma Sutra, the first words itself, Athato Brahma Jidnyasa. Jidnyasa, inquiry into Brahma. Athato Brahma Jidnyasa. I don't want to do Brahma Jidnyasa. If that interest is not there, enthusiasm is not there, anxiety is not there, that zeal is not there, then there is no Brahma Jidnyasa. So this question comes when we think, when we contemplate, when we study the world, when we understand the limitation of all this which we experience. Parikshalokan karmachitan nirved brahmano nirvedam ayat. That after doing the pariksha of this world, person gains vairagya. So with Shraddha and this, you stay here and prashnan pruchhata. So you ask your question. Okay. Then what? Then he says very interesting. He says, Yadi vidnyasyamaha, and if I know the answer, because there is no guarantee that you may ask some question I might not know. But you can't ask now and then 1 year you wait. No, not like that. After 1 year you ask. And if I know the answer, then I will tell you. Yadi vidnyasyamah sarvam havo vakshama iti. I will tell you everything. I will not keep anything in my heart. This is the humility of the teacher. Humility of the teacher, that if I know, I will tell everything. And he tells everything. So this is very important, that how the student should be, what type of attitude, with what attitude we approach the teacher, and how we prepare ourselves to gain this knowledge. All this we learn from this. Now we come to the question. 1 साल हो गया, 1 साल बीत गया. इतनी जल्दी स्वामी जी पता भी नहीं चला, बीत गया. So now the first seeker, Kabandhi, he approaches the teacher. Atha Kabandhi Katyayana Upetya Papracha Bhagavan Kuto Hava Imaha Prajaha Prajayanta iti. Atha, now, after 1 year, staying there in the ashram, following the discipline properly as the teacher said, after 1 year, they approached the teacher. So one seeker, one disciple, he asked this question, Kabandhi Katyayana. So here the order in the beginning was given in different order, but the seeker who come, they are in different order. So Atha Kabandhi Katyayana Upetya Papracha. He approached the teacher and asked him this question. What? Ki Bhagavan, oh my dear Lord, Bhagwan, ki kuto hava imaha prajaha prajayanta iti. This is the question. Ki ima prajaha, all these beings, praja means beings, all those who are born, all the beings. All these beings, imaha prajaha, kuto hava prajayanta iti, from where they are born, from where have they come, all these beings, including ourselves, including all these other creatures, human beings mainly, or other beings also, from where have they come? Kuto hava ima prajaha prajayanta iti. See, we see this variety of creatures, and most amazing variety is there on our earth. Human beings, they are also of so many varieties. Then we have the animals, birds, plants, and there are creatures who are mentioned in the scriptures, the devatas and all, the Gandharvas and those Yaksha, Kinnara and all. So all this praja, kuto hava imaha prajaha prajayanta iti, from where have they come? This is the question. We will see the answer. Tasmai sa hovacha praja kamo vai prajapatihi satapo tapyata satapastaptva samithunam utpadayate raincha pranancha ityetau me bahudha prajaha करिष्यत इति तस्मै स होवाच. Pippalada Rishi, he told that Kabandhi कि प्रजा कामो वै प्रजापति ही, that there is this Prajapati. First we'll see the literal meaning. कि there is Prajapati. Prajapati means the Lord of the entire creation. Praja ke pati. The Lord of this creation, Prajapati. And sa tapo tapyata, and that Prajapati, this tapas, he meditated. And sa tapas taptva, and after meditating, sa mithunam utpadayate, he created a couple. Acha. Who? Raincha pranancha, Rai and Prana. He created Rai and Prana. And he said, iti etav me bahuda prajaha karishyate iti. And he thought, this Rai and Prana will produce many creatures for me. Many creatures will be formed from this Rai and Prana. See, if we just read this mantra, and even if we use the dictionary to understand the meaning, we will not be able to grasp the meaning. It becomes difficult. Some of the terms which are used here, difficult to comprehend. Therefore, there is a great need for a teacher to explain and teach us, and such a teacher is our Adi Shankaracharya ji. He has written a commentary on this and other Upanishad, and his commentary is based on his understanding of the entire Vedas. The beauty of his commentary, also I will tell you tomorrow, but it is based on the entire Vedas. See, पूरे वेदों को समझते हैं, and then he can comment on one particular thing. See, if you suppose a person gives a lecture for 2 hours, let us say, and someone asks you the meaning of one particular sentence which he used, you will be able to tell really if you have heard the whole thing. Otherwise, it will be out of context. There are many people who take the mantras of the Vedas out of context and prepare their own theories. That doesn't help us. That is not a holistic theory. And any theory you can make, because there are mantras which might suit you. Like this, there is a saying that even a devil can quote from the Bible. Because there are appropriate mantras are there which you can quote. So that is not proper. One has to have the total understanding of the Vedas, then only will be able to comment. So what exactly is the meaning of this mantra, we will see tomorrow. We will conclude now with a prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम।